Hey, happy boy. Yeah. Hey, are you hungry? Are you hungry? Hey. Hey, you. Hey, are you gonna roll over? Come on. Come over.
This is my brother, buddy, Abraham.
Hi. Yeah.
He is funny.
Hey, Abraham. Are you gonna laugh? Are you gonna laugh? Are you gonna laugh? Are you gonna laugh?
Stand tall. Hey guys, welcome to this final episode of our Kentucky road trip vlog. I hope you've been enjoying our ride through the Bluegrass State. In this video, we end up in good old Alexandria, Kentucky. How come, Jennifer?
Well, that's where my brother Donald and his wife Karen and their 3 children live. Back to you, Dan. Oh, I'm like, and that.
In this video, we're going to learn about their son Abraham and his story about severe allergies. Is that the line? Anyway, roll it. Here's Donald and Karen.
Ask any family member how crazy we were about asking everybody to wash their hands and making sure he had plenty of space around him when he was sitting with his cousins at the table, and we always prepared everything separately so there would be no accidents for cross-contamination, because the one reaction that I think really threw us over the edge, like before we thought, oh, we could handle this, right? Like, give him some Benadryl, he'll be fine. And then we were at a dinner party with a group of friends. Abe was just turned 1, he was 13 months old. And the kids were playing and they had their own drinks and the adults were sitting at the table and eating, and somehow Abe's a curious 13-month-old baby had crawled over and picked up another kid's sippy cup that had milk in it and drank it and just immediately started vomiting and choking and like gasping for air. We did not have an EpiPen at that time because we didn't understand the like severity of the allergy.
Yeah.
But we did have a nurse.
Yes,
one of the ladies was a nurse.
One of the ladies was a nurse, so she helped us, but they didn't have Benadryl at their house either. So we ended up leaving the party, calling the doctor on our way to CVS so that we could get Benadryl. Gave him Benadryl. She recommended that if he was breathing fine now, to just keep our eye on him and continue to dose him with Benadryl until all the swelling came down. So that night, I remember sleeping on the floor next to his crib because I just wanted to make sure he was breathing.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
To do it afraid. She had to lean on Donald, her rock, her support system, who's telling her to pray. She had to be there for her son, who's saying, I got this, Mom, I got this.
Yeah.
And she had to pray, and she had to do it afraid, and she had to walk by faith.
He was in the hospital for a week because he was having breathing issues when he was first born. And we don't know if that was related to the allergies or not, because I was breastfeeding at the time. But now we look back and we're like, maybe I had eaten something that had triggered a reaction in that like first week that we brought him home. They couldn't find anything when we took him to the hospital. But we did get one, you're right, Jenny. We had one of those motion mats underneath
Angel
it.
Care or something like that.
So that,
Yeah.
See, I thought that was all
I thought that was all related.
related
so
too.
that was-
Because I'm like, wait, you didn't even talk
It's
about
possible that it's related, but there's
You
no
had-
guarantee
So, yeah.
it's connected.
To remedy the situation, there was some experimental treatment going on at the Children's Hospital in Cincinnati.
a food challenge.
They had to face the fears of the foods they've been avoiding all these years.
so we would, every 6 months, we would visit the Cincinnati Children's allergy clinic. So his doctor, Dr. Lero, would test him because a lot of kids do grow out of milk and egg allergies. And so it was a waiting game for a while to see if he could progress and grow out of those allergies. Unfortunately, he wasn't making any progress. Like for up until he was 10 and a half, basically, you weren't seeing any progress in terms of those allergies just remedying themselves. And so finally, right around his 11th birthday, I think it was, might have been a little bit sooner. It was January-ish that time. So he had not yet turned 11. Dr. Lero told us about a treatment that she had been involved in called oral immunotherapy, OIT.
And this is relatively new, right?
It is
I remember it
relatively
was sort
new.
of experimental.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And at the time, there were a lot of doctors who were doing like clinical studies where you have to follow these very specific rules to doing it because it's research and it gets published. And Dr. Lero was doing some of that, and Cincinnati Children's was doing some of that, but they started to extend out of that clinical world and do it in their own offices, but under careful observation and just being more flexible to the patient's needs.
For the past 5 years, we've been treating children with food allergy by giving them very, very, very teeny doses of the food that causes their reactions and gradually increasing that dose so they reach a point where they can eat the food regularly without having any reactions or problems. About 85% of the children who start in the food allergy treatment program reach their target dose and are able to eat the food that caused them their problems. This has been the most gratifying thing that I have ever done in medicine. The parents tell us that we've really changed their lives, and that's very rewarding.
Fast forwarding 13 years later, boom, the boy can eat whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
Okay, whoa.
Honestly, like that.
Yes, but in
absolutely
moderation.
incredible.
Tell me who you are.
I'm Abe Zengel, I'm 13.
I'm Donald Zengel, I'm 29.
I'm Karen Zengel, and I don't have birthdays anymore.
He was allergic to peanuts, milk, eggs, watermelon, and kiwi.
Yep.
Poor boy. He missed out early in life. Do you remember much, of the different foods you were only allowed to eat? I'm sure it was frustrating. Probably friends were eating all kinds of junk food and you probably couldn't really have any. Did that bother you much, or?
It didn't really bother me. I do remember it pretty well because whenever I go to sleepovers or parties or anything, it just had to be I can only eat this, this, and this, and everything else I can't. And then, of course, lunch. I've never had a school lunch, and that's definitely weird that I've never had school lunch. But
They're not that good.
Do you have anything you'd like to share with any other kids or anyone going through the allergies that you had?
I mean, it'll get better at some point. Now, I can eat milk and egg and everything, most everything, but in a controlled amount, of course. But it's not that terrible. You can get through life with having milk, egg, and dairy, nut allergies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely does limit some stuff, but it's not always that bad.
What's your favorite foods nowadays?
Most of my stuff she cooks is my favorite.
Yeah. All right.
You're not a big fan of peanut butter, even though you can eat it now.
No, I don't like peanut butter. I don't like ice cream. Well, I don't like chocolate.
You're not a
ice cream.
huge fan of chocolate, even though you can eat it now.
Yeah,
Isn't that something? Yeah. Wow.
And you're tired of eggs,
yeah,
because you have to eat them every day.
yeah.
But you do like ice cream.
Vanilla and strawberry, just not chocolate.
I think I would also say that we were really fortunate that Abe found some really good friends who did not tease him about it, did not bully him about it. My favorite story of Abe, though, is when he was at the end of his dosing for milk, okay, at the allergist. And so he got his 8 ounces down, and Dr. Lero came in and she said, "How do you feel about trying 8 more ounces?" And right away, Abe was like, "Sure." And right away, I was like texting him, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna give him another 8 ounces. I don't know if I can do this." Because usually Donnie was the rock there and I was the nervous wreck.
Yeah.
And so he just texted back, "Pray." And so I was just in my head saying Hail Mary after Hail Mary, while Abe was just calmly,
I got this.
yeah,
Yeah.
waiting
God's
there.
in, right?
And I remember listening to a podcast that night of Father Mike Schmitz talking about the uncertainties in life and the original Abraham and how he had faith when he took Isaac up on the mountain and had faith in God that everything was going to turn out fine, even though there was so much uncertainty there. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was us today. And I have a son named Abraham. Isn't that amazing?
Nice.
So worked out really. It was that was definitely a God moment.
That's awesome.
And it's something accessible to every person watching this, every person listening to this. Great faith. I have to ask the question of myself, like, what kind of faith do I have? And of you, what kind of faith do you have? There's the next question, which is, what kind of faith do you want to have? Because only faith that is tested can become great. Only faith that is tested can become great.